All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. Let's get ready to rumble. How y'all doing today? Yeah, we got the feedback loop. We're sounding good. Yeah. It's nice. Welcome to the show. Well, Frank Monday, broadcasting to you from the Central Kingdom of Celestial Dragon, Twilight Zone Old Peking, far behind the bamboo firewall. Your Grand Wizard of the Esoteric Order of Dagon, friend and well-wisher, Frater Francis Louis Aristace of the Ordo Templi Astarte, joining you on another entry on the 100-day challenge. Pathways of Magic. Make sure you guys hit the like button if you would, if that's not too much trouble for y'all. Check me out at www.buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. This is the official drive to 1,000 subs. Got to get it done. It's not easy. Any of you who have built a YouTube channel from the ground up, thousands and thousands of videos, thousands and thousands of hours of effort, you know the struggle. You've been there. You know the pain and effort and very little return on investment. Ultimately, though, there should be some kind of return on investment. If nothing else, my whole understanding is that at a bare minimum, you're leaving behind an archive for anyone and everyone who might be interested in it. So greetings, Wayfarer. Welcome back. Wherever you are, whoever you are, and whenever you may be receiving this transmission, let's go ahead and get into it. The Adoration of Abraxas. Holy art thou, Lord of the universe, the vast and the mighty one, creator of heaven and earth, maker of all things visible and invisible, master of both the light and the darkness, he who was, is, and shall be. We adore thee and we invoke thee. Send us one of your divine spiritual agents, our holy guardian angel, to protect and guide us through the innumerable snares of the earthly sphere, and a cleansing wind to disperse all negativity and endless human opinion. Teach us those things which we must know for the completion of the great work and the glory of thine ineffable name, Adonai. So it is commanded and confirmed. So mote it be. Alright, good magic. I hope you are doing well today. I wish you a happy holiday season and all the fun stuff that goes with that. Today we're going to be talking about a video I found recently, a channel called GrimFace Motivation. So, not really going to do a channel review, but I am going to present a video that he dropped. He or she, I don't know. I guess it's a he. A video that he dropped, I guess just today, earlier today. Really good stuff. So I thought, hey, grab yourself a tasty beverage, settle in for an hour-long exploration of GrimFace Motivation's new video. And I'll be sure to add the link later if you guys are interested in checking that out. Don't forget to hit that like button, y'all. So if you want to phone in, let me know and I'll drop the link. It's always fun to have someone to bounce ideas off of and talk about all the great things going on in the world today. Good fun indeed. Let me see if I can adapt this banner a little bit. Where'd it go? There it is. Got it. All right. With no further ado, I wanted to also read something to you that I came across recently. Nice little quote by, let me get it out here, my notebook, by Samuel Johnson, an English poet in the 18th century. This is dated to 1751. And in it, he says that the chief art of learning, as Locke has observed, is to attempt but little at a time. The widest excursions of the mind are made by short flights, frequently repeated. The most lofty fabrics of science are formed by the continued accumulation of single propositions. That quote spoke to me. I thought, hey, you never have to go too far to get your learning done. Do it, it says, is to attempt but little at a time. He says that's the chief art of learning. You guys been around for a while, you know that I'm interested in the art and science of magic. And so magic is the same way, functions but a little at a time, right? And why is this? Because we're using the analog function of the conscious mind to affect change on the digital function of the subconscious mind. The widest excursions of mind are made by short flights, frequently repeated. So these affirmations, they fall right in line with that, right? We're utilizing our mind to figure out the associations and correspondences of different vibrations and rhythms that polarize in our lives and have cause and effect. And as a result, we distinguish these into those of genderification, right? Are they good or bad? The preamble to the Kybalion says, the principles of truth are 7. He who knows these understandingly possesses the magic key before whose touch all doors of the temple fly open. So we've got mentalism, correspondence, vibration, rhythm, polarity, cause and effect, and gender. Solve et coagula neophyte. Do good magic. Persevere, right? Keep on at it. Keep getting it. We are in the... Let's go ahead and open that. Make sure that everything's set up correctly. Don't want to run into any snags or snares in the old Windows. So here we go. Yeah, we've currently got our share screen. I wonder if this is going to work. Entire screen. It says I'm sharing it. Now I got to present it. Oh no, the labyrinth of echoes. Yeah, that looks right. Okay. So, yeah, here's where I found it. It's on samueljohnson.com. Interesting. And there's the quote I just read to you. He says, the chief art of learning, as Locke has observed, is to attempt but little at a time. So we're just going to attempt a little at a time right now. We're going to look at the course syllabus for the 100-day challenge. All right, maintaining, get ready for week 9, your 10-day here. Drawing using pencils, inks, and brushes. Visit your local stationer and start working on drawing a rough, magical self-portrait. Just about at the end of the 100-day challenge here. The last couple of 10 days. Yeah, so I put out a lot of additional lessons to support your journey on the challenge. This all started back at the autumn equinox. If you've been keeping up with it, we've covered a lot of ground. It's fun to look back and see what all we've been through. Make sure if you are interested in the 100-day challenges that you check out the website where I keep all the data. So it's here. You can see it here. Yeah, that's it. That's it there, man. That's the way it looks. Next thing up is we are in the 15th of the 11th lunar month, or the 12th month by the solar calendar. So on our lunar solar calendar, we are Sun in Sagittarius. Be shifting into Capricorn next, right? Just in time for Halloween. The winter solstice is upon us, and the full moon in Gemini. Is it going to be in Gemini or is it in Cancer? Looks like it's shifting into Cancer today. And so I think it's already shifted into Cancer for me. But it is a full moon. So a full exposure and illumination come at the full moon stage. The plan bears fruit, blossoms, or culminates. And a new perspective can emerge now. Information has now been revealed. Going public may be in order. Very good. The key words for this cycle are perfection, completion conscious, and illumination. Seems like that should be consciousness. Completion consciousness. Good stuff nonetheless. If we check our calendar here, yeah, it shows that Gemini is going into Cancer at 2:21 p.m. and if it's the full moon, at 4:02 a.m. So it occurred this morning. So the actual full moon is directly in Gemini, but I'll be shifting into the starry crab energy later today. Good stuff. Let's learn about what kind of energy Gemini has on us as we transit through its zodiacal influence. Yeah. So it's still presenting? Yeah, it looks like it is. Okay, good. Clever and curious Gemini is a sign that thinks fast, communicates well, and is full of ideas. Their versatility and adaptability stem from their split personality, part intellect, part scatterbrain. The twins are powered by information and feel most at home when sharing thoughts and conversations with others. I think I have a little Gemini energy somewhere. Like a sponge, soaking up as much information as they possibly can. Whether it's through reading, talking, or writing, Gemini's thirst for knowledge is constant. Pretty cool. Our associations are the Lover's card. There's their gift. Planet Mercury, third house of communication, element air, and the color yellow. Very good. So if you're going to endeavor the arduous task of studying astrology, you really have to stick at it for a long time. Because there are a lot of pitfalls and there's so much material to be memorized that if you're going to have any success at all, then you have to, I think, follow old Samuel Johnson's advice of taking it in small bites at a time. You know, when you set about a difficult task, at first you have a burst of inspiration and enthusiasm, but that quickly wanes. And you have to overcome the obstacles of the day-to-day execution of working towards success. So, like anything, like any grand endeavor, never give up. All right, keep at it. Keep at it. I got some kind of beeping going on around me. I don't know what the fuck it is or where the fuck it's coming from, but it's a little bit annoying. So what we love about Gemini is their versatile mind and making them fun to be around and often inspiring. What we don't like about Gemini is they're not good listeners or good at sitting still. They're easily distracted and they may fail to finish things they start. So you could probably feel that energy during this Gemini moon. Take a deep breath. Hold for a moment. Relax. Command yourself to slow down. Calm your mind and center yourself through that deep, natural, rhythmic breathing in, hold, relax. Any Geminis in your life? Their tarot card is the Lovers. Gemini's tarot card involves two people. The concept of two becoming one. Yeah, it's good magic. I'm gonna go ahead and check the conversation box here. See if anybody's tuning in out in Happy Land. Looks like my concurrent lives are 0 at this time. That's okay if you tune in later on to check out the video. Make sure you hit a like, leave a like, hit the like button. That'd be great. It really helps out the channel, guys. Sometimes folks need to be reminded, otherwise they might forget. So yeah, if it's your first time, don't let it be your last time. Come back often. Check out the show. Let's get into the video.
But in the quiet stillness of dawn, you stand at the cross.
Yeah, so I'll preface it a little bit. This is a channel I found recently. It's called GrimFace Motivation, and it seems that he makes videos, he or he makes videos about different ways to stay motivated. This one dropped earlier today, and I thought it was pretty cool. It kind of flows in line with the 100-day magical challenge. So let's check it out, and I'll tune in periodically to give my 2 cents. And if you want to tune in, if you'd like to tune in, let me know.
Let me tell you this. The words you choose in those first moments after the words you choose in those first moments. The moment your eyes open in the quiet stillness of dawn, you stand at the crossroads of possibility. What do you tell yourself in that sacred moment? Is it a whisper of doubt or a declaration of dominance? Let me tell you this. The words you choose in those first moments after waking are not just idle thoughts. They are commands issued to the universe, directives that shape the very fabric of your reality. Your morning self-talk is your battle cry, the anthem of your day.
All right. So that gives us a bit of a preface to the video, right? That there's quite a few things actually happening when you first wake up in the morning, right? You could be coming out of dreamland and bringing a lot of good, interesting experiences with you and doing your dream journaling in order to keep some of that data in the working mind throughout the day. Or you could wake up totally blank, right? And if you use an alarm or something like that, you could wake up in the fathomless space between the dreaming and waking mind without any recollection, without any dream recall, without any good magical work having been recalled, which sometimes happens with folks. Or you could wake up already receiving a radio transmission from the realms beyond, and your ancestors and spirit guides can speak to you in these quiet moments. So different number of things that could be happening, right? We'll say 3 to 5 different scenarios you could be waking up into. Whatever they are, though, you need to deal with each of them independently and in different ways. But yeah, it's super important that during this sacred magical time of becoming again, right? Fen again. Here we go again. Must we go round again? That you plant the seeds of positive growth for the day.
It is the software that programs your mind to either soar above challenges or crumble under their weight. If you rise and tell yourself, "I can't," you have already lost before the day begins. But if you rise with purpose, if you rise with power and declare, "I will," you ignite a fire that cannot be extinguished. Every affirmation you speak is a seed planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious.
Yeah, there you go. Every affirmation that you speak is a seed pointed in the fertile soil of the subconscious. That's magic right there. Creating mental servitors that will bring you toward the fruition of your greatness.
Tell yourself you're unstoppable, and you'll bulldoze through obstacles like they were never there. Convince yourself you're defeated, and you'll fold at the first sign of resistance. This is not magic. It's mental alchemy.
Well, he says it's not magic, but mental alchemy is, in fact, a form of magic, right? And here he means it in the general sense, right? That it's not something that should be unknown to you, because magic is unknown to many. But the great work is, before all things, creation of man by himself. That is to say, the complete and total mastery of his faculties and his future. It is especially the perfect emancipation of the will. So it's a little bit of a narrow defining definition of magic, right? The art and science of causing change to occur in the subconscious mind in conformity to your will. So you dig a little deeper there for the definition of magic.
Your thoughts, spoken aloud in those first moments, are the blueprint for your actions, your reactions, and ultimately, your results. Look in the mirror, even if your reflection feels like a stranger. Speak to that person with authority, with intention. Say, "Today, I conquer. Today, I rise."
Yeah, harkens back to old Napoleon's, what was it, Vivi, Vivi, I forget the Latin, but it's, I came, I saw, I conquered. So that's one way. I guess you could use the mirror to do your morning affirmations. Me, myself, I like to do it in the inaudible voice, speaking directly to the subconscious mind in the quiet moments. So my general pattern for the 100-day challenge is that when I awaken a couple of times at night, once at 3 a.m. and then again later at probably 6 or 6:30 in the winter, a little closer to 7, because I got to get to the office by 7:30, essentially. Some of my first classes are at 8 a.m., 7:50 or 8, depending on if I have first period class or not. So the only real time I have for doing this type of magical work is at my 3 a.m. wake up. So I get to bed early enough, 9:30, 10:30 at the latest during the week. Then I can wake up at the hour of the liver in traditional Chinese medicine. This is the best time for working with the magical current, the electromagnetic energy that permeates from the universal energy. Yeah, so you got to get up and get at it.
Today, I do not kneel to weakness or fear. Do not whisper these words timidly. Say them as if the world is listening. Say them as if your life depends on it, because it does. This is the law of the mind. What you feed it in the morning becomes the fuel for your entire day. Feed it doubt, and you'll starve your potential. Feed it strength, and you'll become unstoppable. Understand this. Your mind doesn't care whether the words you speak are truth or lies. It believes what you tell it.
Yeah, so a couple of good points to cover there. The first one is like the Geico equation, right? Garbage in, garbage out. So whatever you're feeding your mind first thing in the morning is super important, right? That time of affirmation. Again, for me, it's during the meditative moments prior to my second waking. So because I'm doing dream work and dream magic, then it requires me to do what in Taoism we call a return dragon sleep. So you have to wake yourself up in the middle of the night, between midnight and 3 a.m. and sit up in meditation for 15 to 20 minutes. And I'll do my affirmations then, some of my magical workings. But the next part of that is the mind believes whatever you tell it. And this also ties into the idea of if you look for good things in the world, you'll find millions of good things. If you look for bad things in the world, you're going to find millions of bad things. My dad used to tell me this when I was a kid. I would point out flaws in something, maybe some situation or event we'd be involved with, and I'd say, look at this, look at the bad things here. And he said, kiddo, always remember this. If you look for the negative in something, you can find a million things wrong with it. If you look for the positive in something, you can find a million things good about it. So whatever you're looking for, you're going to find. All right. So oftentimes you do see the flaws in things, but you also need to look for those redeeming qualities in them. And I think this somewhat speaks to that. The other thing that seems to be true, whatever you believe to be true is true, at least for you, because your mind has to reconcile that and find those truthful things in what you believe. Otherwise, you're insane. All right. If you're believing in untrue things, then that's kind of the definition of insanity. And your mind is going to protect you. Your subconscious mind is going to protect you. And it's not going to let you doubt too much your own belief system. So be careful of the OS, like he said a moment ago, the operating system that you're creating for yourself, because it will guide. It'll be the internal moral compass that guides your development in this world.
If you say you're powerful, it will find evidence to prove you right. If you say you're weak, it will gather evidence to reinforce that too. So why not choose power? Why not choose resilience? Why not choose victory? Each morning, you are reborn. The failures of yesterday, the anxieties of tomorrow, they are shadows. Do not carry them with you into the light of a new day. Instead, speak life into your potential. Speak fire into your ambition. Speak war into your doubts. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the architect of your reality.
There you go. Yeah. So mentally, it's true, right? You are who's the magician that makes the grass green? It's you. You're the architect of your own reality. And what is magic other than getting in connection with the grand architect, right? That cosmic architect, as above, so below. So that same architect is living inside of you as well. And that's an important aspect. Oh, we have a visitor to the Ideas Room. Good to see you out there in Happy Land, Axis Rat Blood. Welcome to the show. He asks me, he says, Frank, what all do you know about the Saturn effect? I would have to answer and say, I don't know anything about it, but I encourage you to tell me about it. And if you've got time after we finish this video, if you want to tell me a little more about it, feel free to join the show. We're covering GrimFace Motivation's latest video, the 5 morning affirmations to guide your course.
And that reality begins with the first words you speak when the sun rises. So make them count. Your mind is a garden, a vast, untamed expanse of fertile soil, waiting for your command. Every thought you have, Every whisper in the quiet corners of your mind is a seed. Some seeds are vibrant.
Yeah, it's important to remember this too, that he's talking about planting these mental seeds, and you have to be careful of even those darkest whispers in the mind. One of the biggest things that a lot of us are challenged with at the neophyte level is overcoming the doubt, fear, and anxiety that the mind creates. Because there's so much of it, and so much of it is echoes of the past, right? Instilled in you in youth by parents or guardians and stuff like that. People that are, for the most part, are looking out for your own good. But be careful. Be wary of this. That kind of thing because of danger. And it's funny. Recount a short anecdote. I remember when I was raising my children, and they'd fall down or take a spill or something when trying something. Rather than cudgel them and say, "Oh, poor baby, what happened to you?" I'd say, "Wow, that looked like fun," And if they hurt themselves or something, I'd say, "Hey, examine that. That's interesting. Look, you got a little bleeding or a scraped knee or whatever." I'm like, "Wow, how fun is that? Get at it, get it." And so I would try to teach them to overcome pain and hardship and suffering as a form of transformation. You're learning, you're figuring out the parameters. And I was with my sister, and her daughter was young, maybe 4 or 5 years old. We were in the park, and she was running down the hill, and she took a spill, and she went flying. And she comes running back, and my sister's like, "Oh no, look what happened to you. You got to be careful, honey." And I'm like, "You were getting it." I'm like, "That looked like fun. You went flying through the air. You took a flight." And I'm like, I looked at her. I think she had a bloody lip or something. I'm like, "You're okay. Go ahead, taste it. What's the blood taste like? What's that power, that charge of taking a flight through universal energy feel like? It's the result. It's the result. Get at it. Keep getting at it, kid." And my sister was amazed, and she kind of tried to change. She slightly changed her course a little bit, and not being so helicopter parent, and being a little more permissive, not permissive, but instructive in that type of thing. I think you have to find a clever balance when parenting. I mean, my kids are arriving at the cusp of their manhood and womanhood now. My daughter's graduating high school this year, and my son's got a couple more years. So, in the end, we'll see how it works out.
Pulsing with the energy of growth, success, and abundance. Others are dark, twisted with the roots of doubt, fear, and failure. And here's the truth that many are too afraid to face. You are the gardener. Every seed you plant is your choice. Every bloom or thorn that grows is your responsibility.
And to touch on the gardener analogy a little bit as well, the Western mind typically views the body in human life more as a engineering type thing, like a mechanical one. So we look at the human body as a robot kind of thing, and it's talked about that way. Your liver's no good, you can remove it. You can replace it with a new liver, like an alternator or something, or a new battery, which really can't be done. But it shows that the Western focus over the ages has been a little different than the Eastern focus, whereas the Eastern focus looks at the human life more like a garden. The Western looks more at it like a mechanical operating apparatus. And I think with the Taiji as our reference point, the yin-yang symbol, we've got a little of both, right? We've got a little bit of the mechanical nature of the mind, the sphere of Hod, and then the naturalistic approach, or the sphere of Netzach. So it's important to balance those two aspects and have a vision of both.
If your garden is overrun with weeds, thoughts of self-doubt, laziness, and regret, it's not because the world is cruel or unfair. It's because you've allowed those seeds to take root. You've let them grow unchecked, feeding them with your energy and watering them with your attention. But listen carefully. The same soil that grows weeds can grow greatness. The power has always been within you to rip out the unwanted, to burn it to ash, and to plant something extraordinary in its place.
Yeah, the analogy of gardening is a good one for spiritual cultivation, right? We have to plant deeply those seeds that we want to come to fruition and then get out the weeds. The weeds are constantly popping up. It's a never-ending process. And it gives us a good reference point in the prime material plane, in the mundane realm, and as above, so below. This will apply in the world beyond. Too many people think that the time of death is going to be some great revelation, but at the time of death, you're going to be right where you are. There's not going to be any great transformation. You're not going to level up. That's not going to be a leveling up. You got to do the leveling up now, because wherever you go, there you are. And you need to make these breakthroughs and these revelations and the cultivation of spiritual knowing, the gnosis, as it were, to get beyond the veil. You got to do it now. If you don't do it now, death is just going to sink you into the clip-off, into the abyss, and you're not going to have much spiritual power left over. So don't leave yourself empty at the end of the journey.
The soil doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care whether you plant the seeds of hope or despair. It will nourish whatever you give it. So ask yourself, what am I planting? Are you sowing seeds of positivity and resilience, telling yourself, I am unstoppable. I am deserving of success. I will rise no matter what stands in my way. Or are you scattering the seeds of failure with thoughts like, I can't. I'm not good enough. What's the point?
Yeah, so it's that negative shadow self that gives you this feedback. A lot of modern day mystics and stuff, they tell you to embrace your shadow self and do your shadow work and this type of thing. But the shadow is something you're really working to mitigate, right? It's the darker aspects of life that don't benefit you. It's that little creeping voice that is the devil on your shoulder, trying to instigate doubt and fear and really trying to debilitate your efforts at making spiritual gains. So I find it fascinating that people think that embracing the perversion and decadence and degeneration in life is a good thing. It's not. It's never been deemed as the positive way forward. You have to realize it's there, and you got to deal with it in its time and its fashion. But just letting the world fall into decadence and perversion is not the best answer. All right. We imagine again your garden as the analogy, letting the weeds grow up to overpower all of the good stuff that you're trying to cultivate is not going to benefit you in the long run.
Understand this. Every thought you allow to linger, every word you speak to yourself, shapes the garden of your mind. Neglect it, and it will grow wild with chaos. Tend to it with care, and it will become a sanctuary of strength, purpose, and abundance. Intentionality is the key. You cannot casually toss seeds into the soil and hope for the best. You must be deliberate, ruthless. Rip out the weeds as soon as they sprout.
Yeah, and to follow up on this a little bit and expound upon it, elucidate, as my previous master liked to say, we can't lose sight of the good ancient wisdom that we've been bequeathed with. It's our responsibility to maintain that good wisdom and pass it on to the next generation. So the reason I embraced the Chinese tradition specifically, because so much of it has been distilled down to pithy mem type single sentence quotes, like some of them only 4 characters long, some of them in canters of like 5 characters with 4 lines each, stuff like Bai Ri Yi Shan Jin, Ri He Chu Dang Liu, this kind of thing, these incantations that you say over and over and over again. I remember when my daughter was very, very small and she's being raised here in the Central Kingdom, she knew like 200 poems by the time she was like 3, 4, 5 years old. She could recite poem upon poem upon poem because my wife's mother taught her every day, just reciting poems all day long. And I was happy about that because in all of this poetry are deep, profound truths and ancient hidden wisdoms. And as a child, the childlike mind is very malleable, and they're just reciting it. But that canter of understanding this vibratorial formula of looking towards, both the good and bad in life, but then deriving the wisdom of how to retain that pure spiritual gold is so essential through guiding your course throughout life. And a lot of people don't get this, and they overlook it, and they look at it as superstition, or they look at it in a dismissive way. But we should not dismiss the great efforts that our ancestors went through to formalize this teaching, and I think we should embrace it. And yeah.
When the voice of fear whispers, "You'll fail," drown it out with the roar of determination. "I will not quit. I will not break. I will succeed." Your garden thrives on discipline. The more you nurture positive thoughts, the stronger their roots grow, until no storm can uproot them. The more you practice intentional self-talk, the more your mind will bloom with opportunities, solutions, and the will to win.
Right. And this is really putting the king back on the throne of your internal kingdom. Yeah. Practice internalized self-talk where you're commanding your life, right? And when people approach you with negativity or horse shit, you just command yourself to not buy into it, right? Command yourself that your paradigm, your belief system is the one that you're forming for your life, and what their opinion is, that endless human opinion, doesn't really get you to the truth. You need to formalize your own understanding and wisdom and put yourself back in command of your own life, right? Never give up.
But be warned, neglect is easy. It takes no effort to let weeds choke the life from your garden. It takes no strength to give in to negativity. Discipline is hard. Discipline demands effort, patience, and relentless focus. But the reward is a mind so powerful, so fertile, that nothing can stop you. Imagine walking through your garden and seeing every flower, every tree, every blade of grass as a reflection of your thoughts. Will it be a place of beauty and abundance, or will it be a wasteland of despair?
And here, if you do practice magic, then and again, he said it's not magic, but it is, right? Life is a magical journey if you're a magician. And this is the astral temple. This is the inner landscape that you're cultivating and creating the etheric doubles of all of the ritual tools and your robes. And you have to visit it often. You can't leave it alone. You can't let it start to fade from the astral realm. It's your astral light, the light that you generate as a living human being with your soul power. And those things, many people think that, oh yeah, at the time of death, I can just call upon the name of God and it'll all be there for me. Not necessarily, right? You have to retain that spiritual energy over a long time of living. Otherwise, you're giving away the internal treasure that you were bequeathed, that is your birthright. And as a result, you have a bad end, not a good one. So be wary of that, wayfarer. Magic is not for the faint of heart.
The choice is yours. It has always been yours. Today, you decide what seeds to plant. Today, you decide what kind of life you will grow. Look at the soil beneath your feet. Feel the weight of your responsibility. You are the gardener. Your mind is your masterpiece. Cultivate it with care, or watch it wither. Plant boldly, plant relentlessly, and watch your life transform. Every day begins as a blank slate, a canvas on which you paint the story of your life.
Yeah, so some of you may be familiar with the Latin expression here is tabula rasa, or the blank slate. Now, he says that each day begins with a blank slate. That's true in a sense, but if you're doing dream magic, if you're doing dream work, and lots of astral travel and traveling beyond time and space, getting into the fourth, fifth, and dimensions beyond, then you're not going to arrive back with a blank slate. You'll have the blank slate upon waking, but you have many, many things that you need to inscribe upon that, or that you can choose to inscribe upon that with your magical journal, right? So you whip open the magical journal, and it is tabula rasa. It is blank slate, and you should bring back your gold coins from Dreamland if you're following the magical path. If you're not, then you're just lost in the weeds, and there's nothing good about that, right? You got to get out of the weeds, quit the darkness, and seek the light.
But here's the hard truth. The brush is in your hand, and the colors are your thoughts, your choices, and your actions. If you wake up aimless, defeated, and reactive, then your life will reflect that chaos. But if you wake up with clarity, conviction, and purpose, you can create a masterpiece. The 5 daily affirmations are not just words. They are weapons, sharp, deliberate, and powerful. When wielded with conviction, they can cut through the chains of mediocrity and fear, forging a framework for unstoppable success. But only if you speak them like you mean them. Whisper them timidly, and they are hollow echoes.
Again, there's a difference too at the mental level when your mind's at a calm place, and you can set the ideation of the vibrations around you to settle. Then each thought you have is like a thunderclap in the spirit realm. So you don't even have to articulate them. They don't have to be voiced. Like you don't. And he's saying that you should do this, but you don't have to jump out of bed in the morning and yell these things to you, like you're a drill instructor trying to discipline a lazy private. But the key part of the equation is to invoke often and inflame yourself with prayer, so you can raise up that etheric canter, that energy, without actually voicing it. You can do it voiceless, but you have to be a little bit higher level of a magician. In fact, at the neophyte level, you should, as an initiate, you should put voice to these things. Find a private space where you won't disturb others. Obviously, you don't want to be waking up the wife and kids first thing in the morning by yelling, I am a powerhouse of divine energy. But you should find a way to practice that you can do this.
Speak them with fire, and they become your truth. Affirmation 1. Today, I choose to be positive. Understand this. Positivity is not some naive optimism or blind happiness. It is a weapon. It is the refusal to let negativity dictate your day. When you say, "Today, I choose to be positive," you are declaring war on self-doubt, on fear, on every excuse that tries to take root in your mind.
Yeah, so this is a good one. Let's look at them one by one, and we'll get into it a little more. So he says here that the first one is, "Today I choose to be positive." My personal affirmations are a little stronger than this, right? Like I give you an example here of how I might shift this a little. And so today I choose to express the highest divine positive productivity in my life. Now, I think each individual should write out their own affirmations. Maybe you use 5, like are suggested here, or maybe you just have 3, or maybe you have one really powerful one that's trying to help you reform some energy in your life. There are great motivational speakers in the past who have given ideas to this, but the simplicity of the 5 he's got here are also very good, so you might just stick with that as well. But if some of you have been following the channel, you know that I do Liber Resh Helios, which is at the 4 times of day, you'll address the Egyptian gods with invocation. So upon rising after doing my affirmations, my personal affirmations, I also do the The invocation of total integration. Heaven and earth are the spontaneous manifestations of the divine, subtle, wondrous, universal laws. The original oneness expresses itself. Gross and subtle energies become distinctly divided. I do these every day. I've been doing the invocation of total integration since I was like 15 years old, and I'm 52 this year, right? So that's like 30 plus years, nearly 40 years of doing the same affirmation, the same invocation every day. That's quite a bit, and sometimes I do it several times in a single day. So I've done it tens of thousands of times, and each time I do it mindfully, right? Like in the adoration of Abraxas, I don't overlook it. Anytime I do this adoration, let me see, it's right. Where is it? I'll try to find it on the little feed here. Okay, yeah. So the adoration of Abraxas, Holy art thou, Lord of the universe. I don't do that with fake energy. I do it with the same fervor and empowerment every time I do it, and I mean it, right? And I do it mindfully. So that's the key. You don't want to become mediocre in your presentation.
You are saying, I will control my emotions. They will not control me. Positivity is power. Harness it. Affirmation 2. I am grateful for all that I have. Gratitude is the antidote to weakness. It reminds you of what you've already overcome, what you've already built. When you repeat this affirmation, you are planting a flag in the ground, saying, I have enough.
Yeah, so the second one here, right, as we go through them, there are 5. And then if you guys stick around, then we'll discuss them one by one and some of your ideas on doing affirmations. So the second one, again, the simplicity of it is really nice, right? I am grateful for all that I have. And again, I think you should do it mindfully. You should embrace the thoughts of what is it that you have? What are you truly grateful for? That if you wake up in a bed, sometimes it's easier for people that have lost everything to start item by item in reassembling their life. And if they feel that gratitude, then natural accumulation of abundance will occur like effortlessly. You may not notice it at first because gradual accumulation is the basic principle of universal energy, but don't be discouraged by that. If you survived the night and you've woken up with even if it's a dirty blanket and you're homeless, then find a way to improve your situation moment by moment, and be grateful for having life, at least, and the life breath reinvigorating you and moving forward. Sometimes you can become bound in those things that you accumulate. Too much accumulation will overwhelm you. So yeah, and again, people choose to position themselves where they feel like they can engage in spiritual growth. So yeah, keep that in mind.
But I will not settle. I am thankful, but I will strive for more. Gratitude shifts your focus from scarcity to abundance, from fear to strength. It reminds you that you've already proven your resilience, and you're ready for the next challenge. Affirmation 3.
Yeah, and what is that next challenge? That's up to each and every individual, right? So here, affirmation 3, I am capable of achieving great things. Let's get into it.
I am capable of achieving great things. Say this with fire. Say it until you believe it, because if you don't, no one else will. I am capable of achieving great things is not just a reminder. It's a command. It is a call to action, a refusal to accept mediocrity. You were not born to be average. Every breath you take is proof of your potential. But potential means nothing without effort.
Yeah, it's good that we take a moment to focus on that too, right? He says, command yourself, and talks about the breath, right? Every breath is potential. And the natural rhythmic breathing, that is the engine of life and the power of spirit. That is spirit entering into matter, right? So every strike of the hammer of Thor, creating the lightning sparks, the lightning strikes that illuminate the mind of man. That's always an opportunity to be empowered by the God source. So keep moving forward and command yourself to embrace this. I am capable of achieving great things. And great things, that's relative. One great thing might be like the Navy guys making your bed in the morning, right? Starting the day off right. That's what a lot of this is all about, is pulling yourself up by the bootstraps and invoking those things which you find to be most important to you. And that list of priorities shouldn't be influenced by the human opinion around you. It should be most directly instilled by your own discernment of what is good in life, right? The king asked Conan, and he says, to defeat your enemies, to see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentations of their women. It might be that wonderful, delicious, tasty ribeye that you're going to eat at the end of the day that was produced by much human effort, grazing cattle, the slaughter of that cattle, the blood sacrifice, right? And then the cleaning and preparation, all of the elements that go into giving you that coalesced, wonderful, life-nourishing flesh at the end of the day.
Declare your capability, then back it up with relentless action. Affirmation 4. I embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. This is the line that separates the strong from the weak.
There you go. There's the next one. Embrace the 100-day magical challenge. It's an opportunity for your growth. And I found that every time I take the challenge, real magic happens within that 100 days. Like something big, some big transformation will undergo. It might not be exactly all of the ones I set out on my magical wish list, my Aladdin's lamp magical wish list, but all of those will definitely be achieved too. But some other big transformation will also occur. So don't take on the 100-day challenge lightly, man. It's really a big deal. It's the metamorphosis.
Challenges will come. This is certain. Most people cower, make excuses, or give up. But not you. When you say, I embrace challenges as opportunities for growth, you are staring adversity in the face and saying, come at me. You understand that growth is forged in the fires of discomfort. Pain is your teacher. Struggle is your ally. Challenges don't break you. They build you. Affirmation 5.
Yeah, strength through struggling. Silence is strength, right? Goodness alone is power. Will regaineth omnipotence, and love lieth at the foundation. These really are directed at magical work. Really good stuff. Grim-faced motivation.
I take action towards my goals every day. Without action, affirmations are just empty promises.
Remember, too, there are 3 distinctions in creating your vibration in your actions. Number 1 are your thoughts. So that's what you're getting in command of. You're putting yourself back in the throne of your life, in the kingdom, your internal and external kingdom, and you're commanding yourself with your own thoughts. You choose the thoughts you have in your head. That endless human opinion that surrounds you as miasma and dark, smoky energy, you have to disperse it with the sword of wisdom. So first is the thought, then the thought can become either a word or an action. So be very careful of your words and actions. Your words can touch ghosts and spirits and command heaven and earth. So be wary of that. If you don't have that source of power, then these frivolous words you speak every day are of little value and mean nothing. That's why it's so important that you, to your best extent, stand like a sentinel at the gate of the mind and don't allow for frivolous speech, engaging in petty affairs or trivialities, or saying injurious things. So many people engage in just injurious talk, and it's really a dark, smoky energy, demonic, like wreathing snakes in the bushes. So try to be wary of that, because it becomes a groupthink, becomes a kind of hive mind of mediocrity. So the next step on that emanation of your vibration is the actual taking of actions. And that's all you have control over. You have control of these these three things within your sphere of control, sphere of direct control. It's the mind, the thought, the word, and the act, the pushing your hand forward. In whatever it is you put your hands towards, those are your three impetuses for you to do real magic.
This is where most people fail. They dream, they hope, they speak, but they do not move. When you say, I take action towards my goals every day, you are separating yourself from the masses. You are committing to progress, no matter how small, no matter how hard. Action is the only language the universe understands.
Yeah, it's great. He says you're separating yourself from the masses. You're separating yourself from the NPCs of endless human opinion and focusing on the truth of life. You're becoming, in what we call Chinese, in Chinese we call it Zhenren. So we have three categories of people. We have the Shaoran, the little people, who are petty people that are just endlessly filled with opinion, right? They'll do this, do that. They never do anything themselves. They just tell you what to do. The only thing they're doing is running their mouth. Then the next distinction of people are those who think about the truth now and again, and they do a little bit of action here and there. And then there's what we call a Genren, or a true being. And these are the people that from the minute they wake up until the minute they go to sleep, they think about the truth constantly, every oscillating moment of ideation throughout the day. Magic is their central focus, right? The great work is their central focus. And liberation from all of these things that impede other people is their only function throughout the entire day. These are one in a million. Right? It's me, it's those who the message touches, and it's those who think of the Tao day and night and never deviate from it. Be wary of those pathways of deviation, though. It's what most people love. It's what they just embrace every single day, are these devious byways that lead to dissolution of their spiritual power and ultimately to death and a ghost-like being after death, where they don't rise above. They just... They don't even get the chance for the opportunity for reincarnation. They actually settle into the clip-off and just be consumed by the universe. The people are always talking about these days in the newfangled spiritual community that don't follow the light, don't be reincarnated. It's like, bro, you're not even going to have that power. You're just going to be totally devoid of power at the moment of death. What are you talking about? You know. So many of these folks out there wandering around in utter darkness, they think that they might have some spiritual vigor left over. I shouldn't tell you, but it's a hard fact of reality that you're not. A lot of these people oftentimes are like addicts at the casino that are going to walk out not only with nothing left over, but also in debt. And that's when they're going to face the real hell, the genuine hell realm.
If you take no steps, you have no right to expect results. These 5 affirmations are not just morning mantras. They are a framework for a life of purpose, power, and success. Speak them every day. Speak them with conviction. But more importantly, live them. Choose positivity like your life depends on it, because it does. Ground yourself in gratitude, but never settle. Believe in your greatness, and work until it becomes undeniable. Welcome challenges with open arms, and crush them with unshakable resolve. And above all, take action, every single day. Your life is a reflection of your choices. Your words shape your mindset. Your actions shape your reality. Start with these 5 affirmations, and watch how your world begins to shift. But remember, the power is in you. These words are just the beginning. It's what you do with them that defines your legacy. Today, you rise. Today, you conquer. Today, you make your life your own.
Today, you do good magic. All right, that was good, man. That was good fun. It took exactly the amount of time that I thought it would. So I'll check the chat real quick and see how everyone's doing out in Happy Land, right? And again, I like to ask myself the question, why am I here on a Saturday or Sunday, engaging my energy in the responsiveness of the universe here via the YouTubes, and it's to have fellowship and communion with all of you, because like the prophet of the Aeon said, no new horror can be more terrible than the daily torture of the commonplace. So you've really got to overcome it. And okay, so got the chat up, and Axis Ratblood is still in the house. Good to see you, man. He embraces the 100-day challenge. He says the 100-day challenge is a good one. Well, I like it. It's one that I discovered at an ancient temple here in Old Peking, here in the Central Kingdom. Like I said, it was on a tablet, a stone tablet, and it's attributed to old Master Liu Dongbing, one of my favorite characters. And as a result of doing the 100-day challenge so many times now, just over and over and over again, I have elevated myself to Grand Wizard of the Esoteric Order of Dagon, self-appointed. All right, like old Robert Anton Wilson in appointing himself a pope. If you guys don't know, what was that? The Church of Discord, the Discordian cult that Robert Anton Wilson started back in his day. He said that he would send out pope cards, and I have a pope card, man. It's good stuff. I got a pope card like in the mid-90s. So I am a pope, but I'm also the Grand Wizard of the Esoteric Order of Dagon. I would reinforce this morning's message with words from Israel Ragardi. And he said, invoke often, inflame yourself with prayer. And he mentioned this in his presentation of the middle pillar exercise. Also, those who know do not speak, and those who speak do not know. So there you have it. Let's see what else is going on. Yeah, good to see you, Axis Rapblood, and thank you for joining me here in the Ideas Room. We've got a couple of folks out there in Happy Land, so good on everyone for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead, and at this time, I am going to drop the chat link. I know that last time we had a lot of trouble, Axis Rapblood. So if the link works for you and you guys want to join and have a little panel chat about various affirmations and how you do your magic, there is the link there. I am going to have to drop some of the other things I have added in the studio here in order to make room for that, because I realize that being in China, it makes it a lot harder to try to perform some of these basic actions on YouTube or StreamYard or whatever this platform is. And before I do that, I am going to do the top of the hour channel updates. This is the Frank Monday channel. I am your Grand Wizard of the Esoteric Order of Dagon, your friend and well-wisher, Frank Monday. This is to support the 100-day challenge, Pathways of Magic. I remind you to hit the likes and check me out at www.buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. That's where you can find the whole 100-day challenge course syllabus. I'm on a drive to reach 1,000 subs, day by day, trying to pick up a few subs so we can get there. So if it's your first time, don't let it be your last time. Sub the channel, sub a friend, share a video, secretly sub your grandma, man. Do good magic. Help me get there. Also, I remind you to consider a one-time donation at the old coffee page, and you can join the Lunar Light Entertainment Discord for more behind-the-scenes conversations and other fun stuff. Again, make sure you like and subscribe, and check back often for all that fun stuff. With that said, yeah, that's it, man. That's all the show I had prepared for you today. So if I'll check and see if there's any questions in the Ideas Room. And if there is, I'll answer them. If not, I'm going to wander off into the abodes of the future. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, so I did post the link. If anybody wants to hop on, it's right there. And then there's a movement in, let's see what this says here. Axis Rat Blood says there's a movement in the procession happening now. Do you see or feel it? I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to there. This fella here, Majo says people don't really breathe properly anymore. Yeah, that's fair enough. You have to kind of, I don't know. It depends on if you were raised naturally or not, and you've learned to breathe correctly. But watching a common house cat or dog, your pet, if you have a pet, any animal in the natural sphere, you have to learn that primal animalistic magnetism again. That you should really be bringing the breath all the way down to the bottom of the body. In Tao, we say that the ancients breathed all the way to the heels of to the soles of their feet. So when they breathed, even the bottom, the bubbling well, the bottom of the foot would expand, right? People these days are mostly chest breathers, as this individual pointed out. But yeah, you want to get that breath all the way down. If you're a man, then you should imagine your testes like little balloons, and each breath you inflate them, and then each exhale you suck them back up into the body. So if you have the power of Qigong to suck the testes back up into the body, then you're doing real Chinese Kung Fu. If not, then you're probably a chest breather, a mouth breather. But yeah, not many people can do that. You have to have some training in it. But your Grand Wizard of the Esoteric Order of Dagon can certainly get that done. I mean, if you want to have a nice 8 to 10 hour sexual interaction with a woman, then you had better be ready to do your sexual kung fu. Rat Blood asks me, are you familiar with this individual in the chat, Majot? No, I don't know this person. Not familiar. But he or she says, I'm looking at the simulation ATM and found that a small town I live in is on the 33rd degree meridian. Ooh, that's fun, huh? Good stuff. Yeah, so breathing properly, become the will that is yours, not others' will. Yeah, that's good stuff there. I agree with you, Rat Blood, that you should embrace your magical will, the magical mind, and do what thou wilt. That's the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will. And a lot of people, they they read that incantation and they vilify Crowley because of his particular life pattern, but they don't get it, right? They in the mainstream course of understanding, they think that do thou wilt, it just means do whatever the fuck you want. That's not at all what it means. I mean, step one is volantia. It's getting in connection with and communication with your holy guardian angel, your higher divine genius. And then you do what that is. You do what is the highest divine genius's will within your life. It's much more difficult than doing whatever you want. Obviously, what you want and desire is going to be a part of your will, and you should also embrace that. You shouldn't be an ascetic or a renunciate, or you shouldn't shave your head and hide out in a monastery eating vegetarian food. You have to embrace the day, carpe diem, and get out there, and cut the head off a goat and wear that head as a ritual mask as you prep that meat for life-sustaining interaction. It says devices not connected. Okay, we do have a visitor to the ideas room. Axis Rat Blood is in the house. Let me see if this is going to work. Last time it didn't work, so let's give it a chance and see if it'll work this time. If this is in fact you. All right.
It's me.
Welcome to the chat.
Hey Frank, it's good to have you on here, man. It's good to be on here with you. I move by the nature of procession and cycle. I gave up the westernized Gregorian calendar a long time ago, and my my days and nights are set by cycles of the sun and the moon. And my day isn't night, my night is day. And I kind of stay towards that procession to keep a natural rhythm and harmony with the great celestial machines. If you've got, if you understand the construct of the celestial machines and how they influence the earth, electromagnetic frequencies, vibrations, different alignments, stations, repetitive cycles, houses, and modes of the planetary heavenly bodies, nature of things. Recently endeavored. Are you still there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here. I was just checking that out. You had mentioned that earlier in the chat. You said that there's a movement of the procession happening right now. Do you see or feel it? Can you explain that a little bit to me? I don't know what that is. I'm not familiar with that idea.
Okay, well, the universe. Well, I won't even go with the universe. We'll just use the secular nature of our heavenly luminaries that encase and surround us, that we can see. They have certain energies and frequencies and different houses and modes that they go through that are repetitive cycles of energy. The governing planetary force behind this, which is considered a more of a machine, in a biological sense, kind of like you said, when we're AI, we're basically biological AI machines. Well, planets in their movement deal with a lot of electromagnetic energy and frequency. And when they repeat different stations, because we're in a cycler construct, they repeat that energy. Once you map that energy out, you can start keeping kind of a forward look into things. And that's how the Saturnalian religion does it, is they'll look forward into what's coming at them by the houses and modes of the luminaries, and then they'll project their energy in coherency with it to achieve a goal, or to move with the mode of a house, to reap the benefits from it, or to keep the malevolence of your own energies consuming you. So I don't know much about the Chinese zodiac. I figured you might have a different perspective on the houses and modes of the processions and how the zodiac is used in the affirmations of your day.
Okay. No, I do use the Western zodiac as well, but I also study the Chinese one. They do have similarities. They also have 12 signs, 12 constellations, but they also have like a 28 house system. But so I'm still trying to get my head around the idea that you presented a moment ago. You called it moving with the movement of the procession. And so like right now, I was covering this a little bit in the beginning of my presentation, was that we are currently in a full moon cycle, and it's in Gemini, but it's transitioning into Cancer. So does it mean to be like aware and keeping track of that? Because I do that for my magical work.
I don't use Westernized zodiac. I don't use Chinese zodiac. I use the actual luminaries themselves.
Can you explain that? Like
the 13. I do a 13-month calendar. 29 day. 28 to 29 and 1/2 day. 13-month calendar is what I there's 13 staples in a year for me, or 13 months. 13,
is there a resource is there a resource online where people can follow that, or it's something you have to do each year? You have to make the calculations on your own.
it's better if you do them on your own, but yeah, there's plenty of resource out there. There's plenty of everybody trying to give you all kinds of information on everything, you know. But until you do the work and you start studying it for yourself, you know, it's just an observation and it's not an integration of yourself. Until you take that knowledge on and understand how it affects you, how it works with you, or even if it's relevant. And I've noticed that, you know, with a 13-month procession into a year, holds much more of a vibrational resonance with me. And I can move through a procession in cycles of winter, summer, spring, fall, and the different houses and those modulations of those houses through the course of the month. And be able to work with those energies to benefit my movement. So that I'm not working against the universe.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I do something similar. I follow what in China we call natural law. So according to natural law, we have a text, an ancient text. It dates back to legendarily about 3,000 years ago. And it's called the Yellow Emperor's Guide to Internal Medicine. And in that text, it tells a person how to adapt their energies to each of the four great transitional cycles, right? Of course, of spring, summer, autumn, and winter. But in correlation with that, I was going to show you real quick. I do follow this basic magical calendar that you can find. Like Cafe Astrology has one that I like. It's pretty good. And it gives me the basic transitions of the solar energy and the lunar energy through the 12 zodiacal transitions. So, for example, today for me is the 15th of December. And we've got, like I was saying, we've got the full moon at 4:02 a.m. at the 178th degree. And it's moving from Gemini into Cancer. And then coming up, we've got the sun going into Capricorn. So as a general reference, like astrology is such an extensive endeavor that, like I said at the start of the transmission, I said that any great science or anything like that needs to be. I pulled a quote from Samuel Johnson, an English poet from the 18th century. He says that the chief art of learning is to attempt but little at a time, right? So I know one girl that's a really good astrologer. Her name is Miss Mary Moon, and she's been studying charts and stuff like this for a long time. So here's the quote that by Samuel Johnson. So short flights frequently repeated. The most lofty fabrics of science are formed by the continued accumulation of single propositions. So yeah, I can like this new information that you're giving me. For me, it's brand new, and so I moved through a process, a 4-stage process that I've delineated here. I'll show you really quick. It's a mnemonic. How do you say this word? Mnemonic process. So you brought this idea to my attention. I can become aware of it, right? And then if I study it a little bit, I can move on to stage 2, which will be recognition. The next time I hear it, I can learn to recognize it, right? And I'll say, oh, yeah, I've heard that before. Axis Rat Blood mentioned that. And then if I really endeavor to understand it and gain knowledge about it, then I'll move to stage 3, where I have knowledge and understanding. And ultimately, the process of anything, if you become aware of it and you think that it's relevant and important to your life, is to get to stage 4, right? Mastery. In the Chinese alchemical process, they've identified that if you want to achieve mastery of something, it requires 10,000 repetitions. So that's the basic. And if you do it once a day, it's going to take you 30 years to master it.
Well, I'm familiar with what you're talking about. Is repetition and the same.
Yeah, Bruce Lee said
brain chemistry.
10,000 punches.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't expect anybody to just, know the same type of esoterics that I do, or I mean, I lead kind of an individualized solo endeavor into. I still try and stay as close to natural law and modulation as I can.
Yeah.
But there is environmental effects on daily affirmation.
Okay. Do you have an example? Are there some daily affirmations that you like to use in your work?
Well, yeah, I mean, the completing of the movement of a moon cycle from new moon to new moon. You know, you want to start a magical endeavor sometimes, maybe on the beginning of a new moon, and maybe end it on the full cycle of that moon. You know, use the lunar energies to your advantage, as long as the rest of the luminaries are in coherence with it, which means lined up in procession to direct that energy. The reason I use
Okay.
the moon is you can observe. I could use other planetary bodies or heavenly bodies, but you're not going to notice the movement of them as much as you will the moon because of the pull that it has on water. So people can go, okay, I can see it affects the water. That brings it into solidification with the mind, making it material. But if I tell you the movements of, let's say, how the procession of movement of the rings of Saturn's rings, how they move outward, like a needle moving inward on a record, but they move outward from Saturn, and they have a full effect on all the luminaries. That's why the cultists use Saturn so heavily, is because it's
Right. You had mentioned here the concept that Saturn is a base reality generator, and that keeps the cycle of our movement and procession. So, in our magical workings, we utilize the double cubed altar of Saturn. So, in my astral temple, when I walk through the door and I go into the astral temple, that's what anchors the center of my reality. So all of the magical energy that generates from the dark double cube, that represents Saturn in my magical practice. Does this somehow
it's a part of the yes
correspond with what you're talking about?
Yes, Frank, you got it. You're on it. And they here in the West they demonize Saturn and the nature of Saturn, but the true esoteric nature of mankind is influenced by the movement of those bodies. Saturn being one of the most influential on the base reality. And when you can tap into it and you understand by the gentle movement in the different luminaries and how they line up, the repetitive cycle throughout, and I'll throw in the yuga just as a presentation of India and how it still applies to the same movement of cycles. Greek Roman to me being the most bastardized and distorted view of any of these movements, a zodiac and how that applied energy works with the luminaries and how it reflects on the earth and you as an individual, and how you proceed forward using the luminaries or the base reality and that which influences it to your advantage. They've been doing it since even pre-Semite. I mean, we're talking ancient technology.
Yeah, they worked really hard to break us away from natural law and put us into a religious context of groveling on our hands and knees before these various statues, right? In order to to usurp us of our natural power.
Absolutely, and I've observed you enough to know that I can speak freely around you without it being bastardized. I got to be real careful about releasing certain information, because if it's not understood by the person receiving it, but they're eager to use it, well, it could stumble both of you up, and then it's like having your leg tied to another person's leg once you start feeding information back and forth to the person. And I'm watching that happen with certain houses and modes right now. And especially, I get to watch it transpire through the human psyche on the internet, and especially through watching the houses and the modes and how people interact with each other in social media, or what they release in social media, or different introductions and removals of energies. And you can pretty much pre-predict them with, if you start working with those energies. But if you don't know, or if the person doesn't understand what you're talking about, or isn't in that enveloped mind of understanding or wanting to understand, you could be doing them a disservice.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that I have to be wary of sometimes, because a lot of times when I express my ideas, I express it from a point of view that, it took me 30 years to learn to understand these things. And I think that sometimes other people will just naturally intuit or understand them, but they don't. And then you're, like the prohibition of casting your pearls before swine, they're gobbling them up and then they're running off with them, but then they're shitting them out. And you get to a point where you're wasting a lot of energy on irrelevant people. But again, like when folks like you come into the chat and we have an opportunity to what I consider to be like a
Share?
like a cooperative fellowship in cultivating spiritual reality, I think that it's somehow more valuable, more important, and so it should be encouraged, definitely. Yeah, and nothing can offend me except for ad hominem attacks, right? When people debase themselves to the level where they're like, "Oh, Frank Monday, you look like shit. I hate your shave," or whatever. Then it's not in the realm of philosophical conversation. So I try to tend to avoid that. But that Jerry Springer effect is really what powers the panel chats. You've probably noticed.
Well, that's why I watched your endeavors with a particular individual to see how you handled it. And I thought you handled it quite gracefully. And I thought, okay, I can confide in this guy. I can relate to you.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Exchange information, because I'm not just gonna, unless it's my own channel, then they're not
right.
But
yeah, sometimes these people come in and that's all they're interested in. It's like all they want to do is attack and throw mud. Like you had asked a moment ago, you said, "Are you familiar with this character in the chat, this Majol, right?" And no, I'm not. I've seen him a couple of times in chat, but I don't know that he's ever brought anything of value, so I'm not familiar. And then there's another character that sometimes you chat with, who always brings. I've noticed that you've learned to cultivate his energy to an extent because you have more time for that than I do. But he always says enjoy, and his name's Dominique. But he's done nothing. Yeah, he's done nothing but throw shade at me. So I tend to try to avoid that kind of thing.
Yeah, me and Dominique had an exchange of energies and ideals in a passing. Not so relevant now as it was, but there was a time when we had a lot to learn from each other in our growth of understanding. And whether that time comes around again, that would be, one to see, is whether that energy happens or not. But
that's true too. It's important that we don't put old energy on a new person. People do change and they're adapting and they're going through changes. Like the great musician said, right? Everyone's going through changes.
Right. And I'm not going to take some other person's judgment or experience with a person and bastardize or raise them because of that, because that's that person's energy. And not all energies are relative to one another. Well,
that's super important too. That's another reason why I always give Queen Stefan a second chance, right? I've given him hundreds and hundreds of second chances. And so it's always important to extend an olive branch, but at the same time, you can't keep opening your door to people that just come and shit in the middle of your living room either, you know what I mean?
I wouldn't expect you to. That would just show a sign of insanity. Repetitive motion without any result no type of result whatsoever. That's insanity. But,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you know,
So as a reference, getting back a little bit, like let's steer back around to what we had mentioned a moment ago, the concept of Saturn as our reality generator. So I'm imagining that's why the ancient magicians brought forward that knowledge of focusing on the Saturnial energy in the sphere of Binah as the kind of gateway of becoming. And so I would imagine that as we climb back up the Hermetic tree of life, it's really that our magic is passing through Binah, of course, into Hokmah and Kether, but we're drawing down that Ketheric energy of the crown across into Hokmah and then emanating it into Binah, and that's where we get the first step of like that those Saturnal rings that you were talking about that are coming out like a record and generating the three-dimensional reality.
And there's vehicles within those rings, not like a car. The vehicle is, there are gaps, and those gaps line up, and when they line up, they release inner movements, outer movements, and then they have a full procession that will gap in the rings, and you're getting direct contact with both of the geometries from both ends directly.
Okay, that's interesting. The Chinese also perceived it that way to some extent. Like we have what's called the octahedron, which is the if you've ever seen that Chinese like magical pentacle, it's got a yin yang symbol in the middle. Sometimes it has a mirror in the middle, but then around it are 8 manifestations of very binary energy codes in 3 lines each. So you have like on, off, on, or off, on, right? And those represent different. So we call that that's like the engine of generation in Chinese magic. You cast your seed or your thought intention into the convex mirror, and then it reflects back out to you through that process, that octahedron.
Right, which is a more in-depth observation of it in Western esoteric. Esoteric's just, as long as you got something to scribe through, they're pretty much, it's either demonized or, it's used in occult circles.
And honestly, just to add to that, the reason I sought the Chinese path so hard is because I thought that somehow it may have been the origin of a lot of this information, and we had translated it through the Western mind, and we had left a lot of the key items behind somehow. And I think part of that was religion kind of through dogma and doctrine drumming out the more deeper alchemical keys. And that's why I sought the Chinese path and understanding it.
I think you did very wise with that. I actually went more Hindu with pre-Veda. Even we're talking around the concept of the Enuma Elish and how the planetary bodies have their own life force.
Okay, and a lot of folks did. I found the Hindu system to be too complicated for me. The Chinese system is much, much easier to understand.
Well, it's simplified in open mathematics and symbology, and that's the only reason I can relate to it, and I can understand it is by symbology. Because I don't speak Chinese, I don't read Chinese, but I read symbols.
Right. Sure.
I can read mathematics.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it. Like at the neophyte stages of magical alchemy here in China, you're not even taught, like the language doesn't even matter. You're just given symbols to contemplate day in and day out. And there's like a series of there's quite a few of them in the beginning stages, but there's like certain ones that you focus on, like the Tai Chi symbol, for example, the yin yang symbol, and you just take it like through Franz Barden type magic, right? You stare at it for a minute and then close your eyes and reflect on its discharge in your mind. And so, it's beyond language. Again, it's like you said, it's symbolic.
Yeah, and each culture kept a type of esoterics in the symbology and in the mystery schools, which are guarded very closely. Even the esoterics of Saturn. I didn't expect you would know so much into it, but known from Chinese culture and what I do understand of it through symbology, we can meet on that plane. So I can respect that completely,
Right. And what I'm learning too is that they can be integrated. You can overlap them, and there's some correspondence. And I'm trying to make, for my own work, I'm deriving a synthesis of the Western mystery tradition, the Occidental and the Oriental. So yeah, it's good magic. I enjoy it, man.
Yeah, it's cleaner. It's just like when you start working with Hinduism, and you go into this pamphlet of the million gods, and the aspects of each god being a movement, a mode, a feeling, a reaction, a concept. It all applies to a mathematical movement or geometry. And then you have spatial geometries, and you go outside of observable spatial geometries. I think that the Chinese were able to bring that into a more of a physical adaptation of understanding with geometry than a lot of other cultures were able to, other than maybe Egypt. They were kind of what is that? They kept it within their own society, and they retained all that information without trying to spread it, such as Hinduism, Christianity, Judaism, or Muslim.
Right. That's a big difference with the Chinese system too. Like the Chinese system was a closed system. It was a hermetic system for quite a while. And the other thing too is, like, in Tao, there's no proselytizing. Like, you don't invite anybody to study it. It's something that the Taoist wizards, they find, it's, if you're called to it, then endeavor to study it, but it's not something we need to process. And here's the other thing too that I wanted to mention with Tao is that even the greatest gods, like all the gods, they're afterthoughts to the cosmic engine of creation. Like, people in the Western tradition, we say that God created the heaven and earth and so on and so forth, which does coincide with like our limited reality from our standpoint in the prime material plane. But in the Chinese tradition, that even the gods were created, and they're afterthoughts to the original, the like source energy. Source energy is something that's above and beyond that. So I don't let the gods get in my way, right? Whether it be go ahead.
I think I'm sorry. I think the philosophy to that is the is gave room for the gods to move, and the is being the all, which gave room for the gods to move. It's a concept that the is being greater than it wouldn't be greater than it would be the medium in which the gods can work, which is the is, which is all the relative capable perceptions that we are as humans to be able to understand. You have kind of like your regular generalized common layman human that understands the visual range, and that's it. Then you have those that can see in artistry, and they can hue and color. And then you go beyond that to spectrums, and then you go into energy and feelings and vibrations, and that continues on to a spectrum to where you have to almost have a profoundness of a deity to even begin to create, because the vibrations aren't readable to a mortal.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's also coincides with the magical tradition of taking God forms, right? You embody yourself as Ra, right? When I'm invoking Ra, I am Ra.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's good. I enjoy it a lot. For my own personal spiritual tradition, I use a great master who lived during the Tang Dynasty. His English or his name is Lu Dongbing, so we call him Master Lu or Ancestor Lu. But he has a really wonderful story. So embodying the Lu energy or Master Lu's energy is a fun one for me personally, right? It's like taking a god form. He's not a big god though. He's like one of the smaller, what we call shens. So in the tradition, like you start as a regular human, and you could even be a petty person, but then you throughout your lifetime, you should work your way up to becoming what's known as a genren, or like an awakened human. And then once you achieve that, then you can achieve the next stage, which would be shen, or a spiritual human. And as a result, when you achieve shendom, then you can, while still living, you can die. You can go in and out of the body quite freely. And at the same time, you can stand in the presence of the celestials. And so they start to recognize you, and your initiations go from earthly initiations to heavenly initiations. And that's the stage I'm at. I'm standing before my gods now as an equal, not at the level of groveling and bowing before their statues, but being able to commiserate with them beyond this prime material plane in the mundane realm. Yeah, so it's good fun, but it does take effort. It does and again, some people can awaken to it in a single lifetime or within a few moments, and some people will sadly never awaken to it, which some people don't realize. Like, they think they're surrounded by these NPCs and they're like, yeah, everybody deserves an opportunity. Some of them will wake up at some point. And that's not entirely true. Some of them won't. No. Some of them will turn their back on it for the rest of their life.
Yes. Yeah, and that's not your fault, man. You can't take that energy on and take responsibility for it just because you failed to penetrate and be able to create that sensation of energy with them. Because some people, it's like putting a frequency through a speaker that the speaker can't handle. It'll blow it out. It goes insane. Plus the speaker with the vibration, it can't handle it. That's where the safety protocols in the mind come in. Those little things that block you from going too far one way or the other. They keep you within the bounds of relativity and commonality, which they consider to be mostly sane. Because anybody
and the magical prohibitions too, right? To keep silent, not to tell the masses too much. Which, a lot of people are working, especially with a platform like YouTube. They want to bring light to these esoteric teachings, but like you said, the quality of the speaker just isn't going to be able to receive it. It'd blow it out.
And that's what's happening. People don't realize that's what's happening with YouTube and a lot of these fly-by-nighters. And some of them that fly-by-night get shot down and come back as a reinvention of some new ideal. There's a wholeness to it all. And it's a singular equation that encompasses all equations. And there you start walking in the divinity of complete consciousness. But that generally drives people to insanity. They no longer become coherent to the people around them or their environment. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not. I imagine the layman over there is probably a bit more profound than the layman in Western society.
Yeah, I don't know. There seems to be like an even division of the quality of humanity pretty much throughout. But yeah, some have said that, the Asians, because they worked on spiritual cultivation and spirit science for so long, that they, to some extent, do have a genetic inheritance of it, whereas Westerners, we worked more towards the realm of mechanical engineering and mechanical sciences. So we have a genetic inheritance of that. But again, that's the yin-yang symbol, right? It all comes back down to East meets West, right? The Occidental and the Oriental. I think we're meant to some extent to learn to balance the left-right brain and engineer-gardener aspects of our cultivation. And like you were saying in the beginning, you didn't expect me to know these things, right? Just at blush, because they are deeply rooted esoteric sciences, and they require, for some, lifetimes of studies. And I'm similar to you in that, I was born a natural magician, so I do have an affinity for many of these things naturally. And you got to remember too, like when you are a natural magician, too much learning can overwhelm you, and you should follow natural law and your own inner gnosis. But then at the same time, after having done that, you have to cross-check it against the great body of work that's already been accomplished by humanity.
That's the problem. Yeah, that's one of the problems I run into is sometimes the energy is correct to deliver a message, and then the receiving end of that is off balance. And then there's sometimes that I'm off balance, but the receiving end is ready to receive that message. And getting that complete balance of accenting one from the other, with that transference of energy not being disruptive. That's a trick when you're trying to go live and
Right. Well, at the same time, we're all limited by time and space and that type of thing when it comes to our interactions. But I do believe that, like running cross paths with you and like-minded individuals, it's definitely worthwhile and certainly a wonderful endeavor. And again, it elevates the conversation above the level of the mundane. So many people are engaged in this, just the mediocrity of everyday life. That they get trapped in the weeds, but you gotta get the weeds out occasionally, and you gotta bring forward the harvest and compare ideas with like-minded individuals that have done the cultivation. Like I know from listening to you that you've done the cultivation and you've made the breakthroughs, so you're already there. You're standing at the veil, as it were, and the guardian at the threshold knows your name and lets you pass freely to and fro, which is good fun and good magic. So that's awesome.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the recognition, but I think maybe we both had an eye on each other to kind of make sure we were on safe ground, because like I said, it's not for everybody, man.
Yeah, it's important. And at the same time, not everybody has your back. Like I realized when I came into like the whole panel verse thing, like I had a lot of sincerity and genuineness, and people were suspicious of that. They're like, what the fuck is this guy up to? They called it love bombing and stuff like that. And they thought that I was being insincere. But when I realized like the amount of insincerity and treacherousness, like treachery in the community, then I realized why they felt that way. And I thought, oh, okay, this is, they're once bitten, twice shy, as it were.
Yeah, and that's just it gets the reflection of Western society and their mass consumption, consumer idealism. More is better, bigger, better, faster, harder. And get to the point quick, and let's get through the niceties, and let's eat the candy. And,
right, and that TikTok goldfish mentality of 7 seconds or it doesn't matter, right? It's sad, right. But and it's something like we as people who have walked through life a little bit, we need to help the younger folks to some extent to shift, like he says here, shifting the focus from the goldfish mentality of immediate dopamine release to that longer cultivation period, like you said, month-long cultivation, 28 and a half days. And like I do with my 100-day challenges, it's 100 days from equinox to solstice and from solstice to equinox, and with a little bit of rest in between each shift. But yeah, it's good magic. I'm glad that you showed some interest and that you've visited and stuff like that. I do have to roll into the abodes in about 5 minutes. So,
that's all. I appreciate you having me up, Frank. I appreciate the fact that we can communicate, and I look forward to further conversations down the road.
Yeah, no worries. It's always a pleasure when you chime in. I'm sorry that we had trouble last time. I don't know what's going on with the internet, but funny thing is, man, after that, we attempted to have that transmission. Remember, you couldn't hear me, I couldn't hear you, but you were
right.
You were being heard on YouTube. I looked back at the video, and like your voice was coming through perfectly. But the very next day, like StreamYard also cut my mic, and I don't know what it is, like what, because I haven't changed any settings, but I did 3 transmissions, and it showed me Like it showed everything was going fine, but when I listened to the YouTube feedback loop, there was nothing on there. And I thought, how funny is that? Like, so I was glad that the very next day after that, I was able to come on and everything was working again. So, just technology. There's always a gremlin in there somewhere.
Right. Well, keep your eye on the western continent, because it's about to go through a massive change and shift.
Oh yeah. In reference to that, real quick, what do you think about all the drone hype going on right now?
I think maybe that's an additive in the formula. It's just another potion in the mix to create the final outcome. This is just more added to the concoction. Drones, change of
like
power.
Just more stimulus and static to agitate people's minds.
Yeah, and I think it weighs in the balance. I think people are going to weigh in the balance in between their faith and their practicalities. And I think they're going to be weighed to measure in the West on that.
Yeah, it's really like, it's kind of the elites, like this lone scum guy, right? AKA Elon Musk, and all of these new technocrats. They're almost showing that they can lord their power over us, right? They're rolling out these. When I'm referencing this to like all the drones in the skies over New Jersey and California and New York, and they're even showing them here, like grand displays in China. There have been some really like, oh yeah, like huge drone displays. And they're calling them drones rather than UFOs or UAPs and stuff like this. But I think part of it is there's going to be a paranormal reaction to this too. Like, we have a lot of paranormal phenomena in China. And I think that as they try to assert their technocratic AI dominance of humanity, that more and more like individual Jedi powers will open up, and people will learn their telepathic ability to just turn off a machine with a mental thought. And so even though they'll be sending out their robot armies, we're going to have our lightsabers and students of the Force. So they can't lord it. Yeah, they can't lord it over us.
They are creating the own god of their demise. So let them do as they will. It's a part of the secular nature of things, and it has to be, dealt with. Just as,
like Princess Leia said to Vader, she said, "The tighter you squeeze your grip, the more star systems will slip through your fingers."
Exactly.
So kind of fun.
Yeah.
New hope.
And one you'll probably relate to is sometimes a monkey has to let loose of the marbles to get the hand up the jar.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. That's a good one. All right,
or I'm going to get a marble. Yeah, thank you, Frank. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's good. Always good to see you. I'm going to wish you good magic and ad astra per aspera. All right, keep struggling until you reach the stars. Much love to you, Rat Blood. Thanks for tuning in, man.
Thank you.
And I'll be back later. Like, I gotta make some breakfast for my kids and stuff, and do some other things this morning. But a couple of hours from now, I might be chiming in, or if you go live, I'll come by and visit you. So.
That'd be awesome. If it strikes, then it will be definitely on the mark. I have no doubt about that.
And you can hang around backstage for a couple of minutes if you want to continue the chat for a little while. I got to sign off the show though. It's up to you.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna do my my morning rituals as well as yours, because it's about noon for me here.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Oh, it's just going into early afternoon here for me.
Nice.
Night for them.
Do thou will.
Yeah. Thank you, Frank. Thank you very much. I appreciate everything, man.
Absolutely. Much love. Okay, that was Access Rat Blood. Good having him in the house. Love is the law. Love under will. I'm going to sign off the channel, guys, and just let you know that I have been your Grand Wizard of the Esoteric Order of Dagon, your friend and well-wisher, Frank Monday, coming at you with the 100-day challenge, Pathways of Magic. Make sure you hit the likes and subscribe, all that happy horse shit that keeps YouTube's algorithms barking like Pavlov's dog on your way out the door. And go over and check me out at www.buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. I will finish with the invocation of total integration. Heaven and earth are the spontaneous manifestations of the subtle, wondrous universal law. As the original oneness expresses itself, gross and subtle energies become distinctly divided. Our bodily caves are brightly illuminated by the mysterious light of the three dantians, celestial, terrestrial, and infernal, bridge points leading to immortality. The powerful spirits of the 8 directions, the octahedron, great engine generating the cosmos, connect our being with the true origin of life, source energy, the Godhead. The powerful spirits of the 8 directions do conjoin our being with the true origin of life, the absolute order of the divine Ling Bao Abraxas in the highest 9th heaven sends the positive energies of Qianluo, Dana, Duncan, and Taishuan, the 4 archangels, guardians of the cardinal directions, to conjoin our being. The evil demon king Mo Wang is chained to stand as our guard and servant. Powerful atmosphere has been generated, dispersing all negativity. The chi of Tao is everlasting. So it is commanded and confirmed. So mote it be. I would remind you, O neophyte, that goodness alone is power, silence is strength, will regaineth omnipotence, and love lieth at the foundation, because love is the law, love under will. Much love to all of you guys out there in Happy Land at Astra per Aspera. Keep doing good magic. Until next I see you, bye for now.